Hi, welcome to the fifth and final part of this five-part series about the gene keys for parents. Today's episode is about how the gene keys would have helped me as a teen if I had that modality available. Now, as a teen, the constant theme for my struggles was lack of self-acceptance. If you've listened to my previous episode, I talked about how the gene keys helped me with self acceptance. They helped me as a parent. And this time I'm going to talk about how, as a teen, I would have benefited from. So, at the time, during my teenage years, being human just felt too painful. I couldn't grasp how I was meant to operate in the world I was growing up in. Um, if you've heard my story before, I grew up in Lebanon in the middle of a civil war. And I definitely would have benefited from a map or a guide that would actually help me find my truth. A map like the Gene Keys. And I always felt like a fish out of water during my teenage years. I blamed my external world to a huge extent. The political unrest across my home country, to the strict social traditions of my hometown, the dramas in my family. But then at the same time, I also blamed myself. For some unknown reason at the time, I felt deeply ashamed of my own nature. I couldn't understand why things with me were the way they were. And I lived in defensiveness. Um, I was already sensitive and introverted as a small girl, and then I hit puberty early on. And what happened is that I started going through these physical changes, and I lost safety in my body. And my self trust and self confidence plummeted downwards. My body suddenly became this beast of its own, changing in ways I wasn't ready for. I was suddenly growing tall, developing body curves and body hair, and I had heavy menses and severe acne on my face and shoulders, and all the rest of the hormonal imbalance and that hormonal phase in the teen years. And it made me very self-conscious and ashamed again. And to fit in, to be socially presentable, to be like normal girls my age, I had to change the way I dress, the way I behave, the way I groom myself. I felt as if I could no longer just be me. And I started believing that there was something wrong with me. Um, Instead of embracing this change, instead of getting excited about growing up, about becoming someone new, I resisted it. I believed there was something wrong with me. I thought I was being punished, and this put me on the defensive. um, I started pushing people out, isolating myself. And my mom and my aunties tried their best to start conservations. And they told me not to make a big deal out of it. They tried to help and make it easier for me. They hugged me through it. It's not like I wasn't in a loving environment, but they couldn't truly reach me because deep down, I'd walled up my heart. I'd internalized many things, and I wasn't speaking about what I really felt. The place I was willing to go, that I enjoyed being in, was my mind, of course, somewhere away from my body. And my mind loved to escape in creative things, books, stories, poetry, art, music, as well as science and maths and geometry, anything to keep my intellect stimulated. Now, the upside is that I excelled at school. I learned new things very quick, and I've built strong creative skills and good habits around focus and organization, and these stayed with me and continue to serve me well as an adult. I still work as a practicing engineer. Um, My intellect has served me well, yes. Now, the downside is that I spiraled down deeper into my defensiveness. My mind, with all my victim stories and all my shame, it trapped me in my own insecurities. I became obsessive with my academic achievements because I tied my self-worth to my high grades. I neglected friendships, for example. I neglected physical fitness. As I said, I lived in my head. I didn't want anything to do with my body. And I stressed out a lot. Now, things got better later. You learn, you grow, you learn. But my anxiety followed me into college and into early adulthood. And it was only when my suffering became really unbearable, um, and as I shared in previous episodes, I had an almost burnout experience. That's when I was forced to look it in the face, to look at my anxiety in the face and be honest with myself. And so it was only then that I saw my insecurities and my limiting beliefs for what they were. They were just a story running in my head. And except this was my story, I have regrets. I wish that as a teen I'd had a good map to navigate life and clear my misunderstandings. Well, the best map I'd recommend now to my teen self is a Gene Keys Golden Path. And there are many reasons why. The biggest reason is that it would have helped me with self-acceptance. First, the Gene Keys would have made me feel validated around what I was going through during my teen years. If you dive deep into the Gene Keys and you contemplate them, at least for me, my journey after contemplating the Gene Keys, I've discovered that my Gene Keys profile, it's a perfect mirror of myself, my tendencies, my patterns, and my challenges. I found that my Gene Keys profile holds immense truth about my inner nature, and it gives language to this truth. I'm amazed at the organized and accurate way that the Gene Keys articulate the human nature in general and my own nature in particular through the spheres in my Gene Keys profile. Now, if I was exposed to the language of the Gene Keys as a teenager, I know that I'd have felt validated. My fears, my worries, my resistance, all these would have been validated by the Gene Keys profile. Instead of me being told not to make a big deal out of my feelings, instead of me beating myself up for the way I felt, I would have felt validated. And feeling validated would have been the first step for me as a teen to loosen my defenses a bit, to open my heart a little bit, enough to connect with others, to see other possibilities. Also, the Gene Keys would have shown me a way out of my struggles. And this way would have been in alignment with my nature. See, the Gene Keys are all about finding the gifts within your shadows, the gifts within the things that you don't like about yourself. The Gene Keys are about mastering the creative forces and building the bridge from suffering to peace. And the profile, the Gene Keys profile, it shows you your unique gifts, and it's actually a combination of gifts which are completely in tune with your inner nature. See, our gifts are already inside us. We are born with them and we play them out until we play them out during our childhood phase when we are innocent children, but somehow along the way during childhood we forget them, or they get shut down for any reason. Again, childhood programming, parenting, the social systems around us, they shut down our gifts. And the Gene Keys help us remember. Remembering my gifts as a teen and seeing them for what they were, as my superpowers, superpowers that I was born with, they would have helped me develop my own style of meeting life's challenges, a style which is natural and flowing. At the time, instead, I only had what others had to say and what the social and cultural norms dictated. You know, I only had what, for example, my parents said, or what my teachers said. This is the way, this is how you do things. But that way wasn't in alignment to my nature. Their views were not aligned. And I used to beat myself up for my inability to follow them, or when I failed, when I did follow them. And I used to feel ashamed of my natural tendencies because I didn't fit in. And all of this used to spiral me into lack of self-trust and self-acceptance. So having the gene keys as a North Star, as a portal again, to help me remember my gifts would have helped. And the Gene Keys Golden Path journey, with its different sequences and intricate systems, as well as its approach of patience, inquiry, and gentleness, they would have presented me with a good case to embrace the concept that it's okay to be different. And that would have helped me get out of my victim mentality and soothe my mind and connect to my own truth. Now, I share my teen story with parents and caregivers because I want to spread awareness as well as give solutions. And I'm thinking of teenagers today in this age of social media and info overload and global crisis. I can only imagine the confusion and the stress they are going through. Now, I'm a mom myself, and I have teens, and I care. I care a lot. And I appreciate my painful journey into adulthood. It made me become who I am today, but I don't wish pain to be the path for others. Instead, what if our teens learn by grace and ease and love? Do they have to learn by pain like we're all learning? So what I'm doing is that I am trying to create a number of initiatives to help with this change. If you'd like to learn more about it, please check my website, The Teen Soul Coach. And I hope I got your interest. This concludes this 5-part series about the Gene Keys for parents. Thank you for listening. I am Nadine, the Teen Soul Coach, and I will see you next time.